So, I've been putting up clips on my official CityStateManticore TikTok, and the shit's been pretty bumpin', I can't lie. I bring this up because one of my TikToks, specifically the one on Red Earth, blew up pretty hard. It's basically just a clip of me talking about the fatalities in that game, if you really want to know. Or you can just go watch the actual video. I'll wait. I promise. In the comments of said talk, though, a certain game with basically the same functionality fatality-wise was brought up quite a bit by the various commenters, so I figured I'd take a look at it. That title, of course, is called Weaponlord. A 1995 release, Weaponlord, shockingly, is a weapon-based 2D fighter developed by Visual Concepts and published by Namco. This game was also developed only for consoles, seeing a release on both the SNES and Genesis. Weaponlord takes place in a fantastical barbarian world. The story is quite simple and told to you in text block form. On an unknown battlefield, a mercenary dies and is subsequently possessed by a demon. This demon was named Wraith. Wraith then kills all the land's rulers and unites the tribes under his brutal empire. During the years of his conquest, the Demon Lord runs across a blind seer who warns him with a cryptic message. When the night turns violent and the moon bleeds, gripped by the skeletal fingers of death, a child shall be born under the warrior's moon, and when this child survives the challenges of adolescence, it will rise to face the Demon Lord in combat, and the Demon Lord will fall by the hand of the Weapon Lord. The future ended up being literally that same night, and Wraith, being a Demon Lord of honor and arrogance surprisingly, decides not to kill all of the children born during the Blood Moon. 25 years pass, and Wraith decides to face his destiny and calls together a tournament of the greatest warriors of the lands, offering untold riches to every character. Fighters worldwide arrive in his domain to challenge for the throne. Days of glorious slaughter pass, and we whittle the warriors down to a god tier 6, all born under the warrior's moon, and one of whom shall fulfill their destiny under your command. Game start now. Weaponlord has 3 modes of play. Story mode, which, well, is the dedicated story mode for the title, duh. One that attaches some special parameters to certain levels, and characters too. Arcade is just a straight arcade ladder, and Versus is just fighting your friends. If you have those. Doing some research on Weaponlord, I actually read some interesting bits about this game. The most interesting to me being that Weaponlord was apparently optimized for online play via the X-Band service, which kind of looks like a Game Genie add-on, basically. I gotta be honest, I had literally no idea this sort of thing was even possible back then. I can't speak to its efficacy, of course, but damn, imagine playing any old game online all the way back in the 90s. Game technology always finds a new way to impress me. I also read up that the developers, who had some pretty extensive experience in fighting games, made this game for hardcore fighting game players only. So, you know, perfect for me. But I'm not here to talk about archaic online play. If I wanted to do that, I'd talk about modern Japanese fighting games. The main reason why I'm here is because of the fatalities and the general violence level. In short, you're constantly spilling blood with your weapon attacks. The fatalities also work exactly the same as Red Earth. Various characters in this game have specials that, when defeating their opponent, result in a gory little death scene. I like them. They're nice, quaint, not overproduced like a lot of fatalities these days. They include stuff like head explosions, complete body obliteration, and disembowelment too. Fun stuff, absolutely. The killing also serves as more than just window dressing as well. Fatalities actually have a story mode functionality to a degree. In story mode, if your opponent commits a fatality upon you, well, your story mode run is over. You are dead now. Additionally, you'll face fewer opponents in one of the final battles in story mode if you kill your targets, though be warned, some true endings in this game require certain characters be left alive to achieve them. So in general, just show no mercy for anyone if you want this game's story mode to be a little bit shorter. They won't show you any mercy either, so don't feel bad at all. But I've gotten ahead of myself here. Let's reel it back a bit and talk about our 6 barbaric battlers. Every character in this game has a nice bit of story and background, on top of more of that background being shown in the game's manual. It was the style at the time. I picked Bane because he looked the coolest. He's a giant, slanging around a stone warhammer and wearing the pelt of a saber-toothed tiger, though he howls like a wolf for some reason. Core is a face-painted barbarian warrior with a longsword. He uses a lot of fiery attacks, would probably be the MC if this was just a normal book or movie. Divada is a sorceress with ghostly white skin and magical capabilities. She also slangs around a double Volge as her melee weapon. Talasia is the sweet D of the game. She soars around like a bird, has a bird claw as a weapon, just in general very bird-like, you know? Then there's Zorn. Zorn the Defiler. I hate that name because I use Zorn as a synonym for porn, and the Defiler title just makes that worse. Zorn's a collector, basically, one alleged to be a defensive powerhouse. My experience in-game says otherwise. And lastly of the default 6 is Gentai, humanoid Valkia the Bloody, essentially. She was a god-tier fighter and mercenary turned master of the demon arena. The manual describes her as opting never to kill her foes so they can challenge her again once more after they become stronger. Pretty honorable. Though, can't lie, kinda clashes with how much the game encourages fatalities though. I must say I do love the character designs in this game, as well as the general art style too. Everybody looks super distinct, has their own awesome weapons and personality too. Sprites are also freaking massive and show a good bit of detail too. I think the sprite work looks fantastic in this game, and every character looks totally awesome. But I won't lie, I'm a bit biased since every woman on this roster has exposed midriff, which activates the neurons in my little lizard brain super hard. Gentai also has a nice little upskirt shot on defeat. Additionally, every stage looks awesome. Good colors, fun background dressing, and are just all around pretty radical with the barbarian aesthetic. I even love the last stage, which kinda just feels like you're fighting in a bone-filled bathtub, a big old demon watching over you the whole time like you're some sort of rubber ducks. I also realize now I've gotten double ahead of myself and not elaborated on which console I'm playing this particular title on. Truthfully, I gave both a shot because, well, the Genesis and SNES tend to be pretty different from one another. The SNES version is the original in this case, with the Genesis being a port of it. The SNES version definitely is graphically superior to the Genesis one, at least in my opinion. The sounds are also quite a bit better on the SNES version too. Control-wise, they both handle identically, though the Genesis version I played kind of feels a bit better. It moves more fluidly, if that makes sense. Genesis version is also way easier than the SNES version, it being more exploitable and spammable in the SNES. Therefore, much funner as well. I ended up splitting my time between the two pretty equally, but I'll put a little console in the corner to let you know what version's footage you're looking at. Mechanically, Weaponlord is a 6-button fighter, with your attack strengths being broken down into slashes, thrusts, and strikes, with those 3 attack types being divided into 4 and back versions. Translated simply, this really just means light, medium, and heavy, and punch, kick. Each character also has a good slew of special moves, between 9 and 12 apiece. Here's the weird part though. Some of these moves are done in the traditional fighting game sense of executing a motion then pushing a select button, but a good majority of these moves are done by holding the button and doing the motion afterwards. You don't release the button at all, you hold it the whole time. Now I know negative edge is a real thing, but I've never seen a game with it baked into the mechanics like this. Also, to say a lot of these inputs are unconventional would be quite the understatement. Look at all these. I don't even know how to describe them, really. Totally straight, kids. You might think quarter circle forwards and half circle backs are a bit much, but look at some of these. Sure, they're no King of Fighters wacky pretzel motions, but I'm happy we've parsed it down to just the essentials these days. Massive credit to this game, though. The controls work incredibly well. Once I learned the motions, moves came out without any issue. Double massive credit when you're holding down the buttons, this disables your jumping capability, so if you have an input that requires an upward motion of some kind, a jump won't muck it up at all. They really thought of everything here. A large part of the game is the impact guard system, which is basically, well, the guard impact system that you might know from Soul Calibur. The developers even claimed it was an inspiration for Soul Calibur. Holding your light attack and pressing forward, up, or down will result in a parry animation, which, if successful, deflects your opponent's attack, and you're rewarded with a bigger window to punish your opponent with. You'll need to master this mechanic too, for the SNES version at least, because holy fucking shit, Weaponlord might be the hardest fighting game I have ever played in my life. Even on just the warrior difficulty, the SNES version is abject hell. Forget about Warlord. Unfortunately, I can't forget about the Warlord difficulty because to get the true story mode endings, you have to play on Warlord. Thankfully, the Genesis version is far more explorable than the SNES version, as mentioned, so we shall do what's called a pro gamer move and beat that version instead. Every character has their own unique ending as well. Even the boss character you can unlock by beating the game with everybody and entering the secret code you get for doing so. You actually only unlock 3 letters per, arcade run, so here's the full code. A lot of these also have secondary requirements you, will not know about on your first run. Using Bane as my example, you have to allow Core to live to acquire his true ending. Because in Bane's true ending, Bane enacts his vengeance upon the Demon Lord, with Core arriving on the scene shortly after Bane murders the dude with his bare hands. Bane removes his hood, and as it turns out, he's Core's long-lost brother Kang. Core is shocked by this revelation, of course, but Bane replaces his snuggly Sabretooth hoodie, saying that Kang is long dead. And now he must simply wander the lands as Bane until one day he will perhaps find his lost soul. Game ends, credits, return to menu. But as we close the book on yet another fighting game here, we must place it upon our little list. But where? Well, I think I'll be slotting in Weaponlord as a new number 6. Weaponlord was definitely a game that was ahead of the curve. With its rather advanced defensive mechanics, high skill cap gameplay, and optimization for online play, it definitely makes it a very interesting and deep fighting game. Though its rather choppy visuals and animations put it firmly at the number 6 slot. All in all, a very interesting game regardless, and one worth checking out if you like the genre at all. or if you just like lady midriff like me. Anywho, as always, friends and fuckboys, my name is HadesManticore, and this here channel do be CityStateManticore. Thanks a ton for watching. As always, be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because as always, there's more content to come. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Goodbye.